Don't panic. Use these 5 English survival phrases for when your mind goes blank. Have you ever been in a position where you just can't think of what to say, or your mind can't translate anymore? Maybe your mind has gone blank and you've forgotten what to say. Don't worry, I've got you. During the last 3 weeks, we went through several survival phrases and recovery phrases. Pause the video to go over them. You can also go back to our previous videos and take a look at how to use these phrases. This week, we're tackling slow down phrases. They're still survival phrases, but specifically ones that slow you down. They slow down your mind. So, first one is, can we slow down for a second? Let me make sure I've got this right. Sorry to cut in, but could you explain the last word? Could you give me an example of that? I've lost my train of thought. Where were we? Some of the benefits of these slow down phrases are reducing overload before processing collapses, which means just reducing the amount of stress on your brain, on your mind, before you completely just give up translating words in your head. Also, buying you time, confirming meaning with the other speaker, and resetting the way that your mind thinks, you're processing. Stopping confusion before it grows worse, before it snowballs. Creating breathing room while also getting clearer output. That's basically where you give yourself time to think and then also ask the other speaker what they were talking about. And finally, normalizing blank moments instead of treating them like a failure, because blank moments are really normal. Okay, so with our first phrase, can you slow down for a second? You'll find that native speakers can sometimes forget that you're still learning English. So they'll speak to you too fast and use words you might not recognize. Or maybe your brain is so overwhelmed that it stops being able to translate anything. Saying, can you slow down for a second, is a direct but polite way to ask someone to slow down and give your mind time to breathe and find your place in the conversation. So here is our example. So, what Hogwarts house would you belong to? I'd probably be in Ravenclaw, but I really want to be in Gryffindor because all my favorite characters are in that house and they seem to have the most fun. What house would you belong to? You see, now this is quite overwhelming, right? Especially if you're not familiar with Harry Potter. So you can say, can you slow down for a second, please? I'm still getting used to some of this vocabulary. What houses are you talking about? Oh, don't you know Harry Potter? Maybe we can watch it together. That would be helpful, thanks. Our second phrase is, let me make sure I've got this right. So when learning English, you don't only understand the words, you also need to understand how the words are used together to get the meaning of the sentence. Sometimes you'll need to make sure that you understand a speaker correctly. So saying, let me make sure I've got this right, is very helpful. Not only do you verify your understanding, but you also buy yourself time to adjust your understanding to match the speaker's meaning. So here's an example of using this phrase. So let me make sure I've got this right. You said that your manager stole your girlfriend. Well, not really. I said stole her heart because she fell in love with him. My manager didn't actually do anything to take her away from me. Also, she's not my girlfriend, just a colleague I really like. Oh, okay, I understand now. So there's no foul play, right? Yeah, no foul play. He just has more charm than me. How are you feeling about these phrases so far? Do you find them helpful? Well, we're on to the third one, which is sorry to cut in, but could you explain that last word? This phrase works in two ways. One, if you really didn't understand the word, it helps to ask for explanation and meaning. And two, this phrase is a clever way to make the speaker go through their words again if you feel that you missed out on important information. So you're not asking them to repeat everything, but they probably will to explain the word. So you don't have to panic if you think you missed some important information. Just say, sorry to cut in, but could you explain that last word? Okay, here is a helpful example of this phrase. So you missed some information about an outing your friend is organizing. So you stop them before panic sets in. Sorry to cut in, but could you explain that last word? I think you said precipitation. You know what it means, but you're trying to fish for information, which means you're trying to look for information. You're trying to get it out of the person's head. That's what fish for information means. The word is just a decoy, okay? So the native speaker will go, oh yeah, precipitation. Basically rain, snow, or other water that falls from the clouds. It's pretty high this weekend, so I don't think we should go to the beach or plan any outdoor activities. We can just Netflix and chill. What do you think? That sounds great. I can bring snacks. We're now on our second to last phrase, which is, could you give me an example of that? Now, this can be a sneaky but good phrase that gives you a bit of a rest, maybe around 30 seconds, while the other person is talking. It's not that you really need the example, unless you do, but you need time for your mind to catch up with everything the speaker is saying. Asking them to give you an example of something you already understand just gives you a nice little mental break, what we like to call breathing space. It's overwhelming constantly needing to think in other languages, especially when you're still learning. I'm also going to point out that we've used this phrase before under recovery phrases, but it might be the same phrase, but it has a different job here. So in this example, you're going to see how sneaky but good this phrase is. So you could say, could you give me an example of that, of how you usually cook and eat eggs? It's a simple question about something most people know about, so it's not hard to follow the conversation. Oh, okay. I usually boil my eggs because I can turn them into egg salad, eat them with noodles, and slice them up with tomatoes on bread. What about you? I like mine scrambled with tomatoes and chilies. You can eat it with rice or bread. That sounds delicious. I'm going to try that. Okay, we are on to our last phrase. This is one that I actually use a lot, and I usually laugh when I use it. So it's, I've lost my train of thought. Where were we? If your mind goes blank, don't be afraid or ashamed to admit it. Even native speakers lose their train of thought while speaking. It's completely normal. A confident way to say that you're blank is, I've lost my train of thought. Where were we? It hands the conversation to the speaker while your mind recovers and gets back on track. Okay, so maybe it has been a long day, or you're just tired, or maybe you're not feeling too well and you have conversation fatigue. Your mind is too overwhelmed to follow the conversation. You've just gone blank. So you could say, wait, sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Where were we? No problem. That also happens to me sometimes. I was talking about traveling to China in the spring. I'd really love to see Yunnan province. It seems beautiful. Oh, I've been there before. The different cultures and cuisines are great. You'll like it there. Really? Why don't we plan a trip together next year? I'd love some company. Oh, I like that idea. That is the end of our phrases, and I wanted to give you a reminder. Okay? So, mistakes, they're not the end of the world. They just expose the gaps in your knowledge. They let you know where you can still improve. So when those mistakes are exposed, they become visible. You can see where your weaker spots are, weaker places are in your knowledge, okay? So it becomes easier to know what places to target. Is it vocabulary? Is it pronunciation? Is it grammar? You know? So essentially what I'm doing here is helping you normalize things that people often mistake for failure. Well, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.